But she had her ways. So definitely is tough to follow. She taught a lot of people in our Native American community and mentored a lot of people.
Mentored me.
So yeah, and I heard her just in my head when Veronica and I were talking. She was like, "Hey, do you want to do a panel?" And I'm like, But I heard Peggy, anytime you're asked to speak as an Indigenous person, you speak.
That's right.
Because our voices still to this day are not being heard. So I just want to say that. But your question, can you repeat that if you don't mind?
Of course. For many of our American Indian indigenous communities, they have worldviews that emphasize planning for future generations rather than short-term gains. How might that perspective reshape the way Dallas approaches housing, development, and stewardship of land?
So, indigenous perspectives are heavily rooted in stewardship. Just like I mentioned, we give it a persona pretty much. It's a living thing, land, water, everything. And we always consider our elders then consider our children, because they consider that our future. And we always plan for our children. Sometimes, for myself, I know, sometimes I go out of my way and try my best as possible for my daughters, especially knowing that they'll be also having children and, moving on into the future with the area that we're in. But I don't claim to be an expert on anything at all. I think our views from the Indigenous perspective really play into what's going on. A lot of our previous panel mentioned segregation. Segregation is being mentioned a lot, very heavily. It's still happening today. And the Indigenous perspective is basically totally against that. We're about community. Intertribal Community Council of Texas, that's in our name. We think about family. We consider the land family, the water. We try every way possible to honor that, honor our teachings. And what I had thought about, and I wrote it down basically, was that we need to preserve affordability because that directly affects community. Protect natural resources, strengthen neighborhoods, and ensure, I couldn't remember all this. Ensure that future residents have opportunities to thrive. What that means also, not only housing, that means community, that means health, that means mental health. Everything totally against segregation is how our perspectives can be considered, should be included. And like I said, I don't claim to be an expert on housing, on construction, on zoning, or any of that. I just know that our perspectives are important because we build community, and that's what we're based on. A lot of our tribal nations are still practicing that, even though it's hard. Every day it's a fight. But one thing I did want to mention, you mentioned the administration. We also need to remember that our government is based on the Haudenosaunee peoples. Democracy came from the Indigenous perspective. Everything that this country is running on, or trying to run on, should be based on Indigenous perspectives because that's where it came from. They laid the blueprint, and that's where our future lies.
Thank you for that. So I want us to bring up the lights. I have more questions for them, but I want, I always hate at events where we have an amazing audience and no one gets a chance to ask a question. So if there is a burning question out here, I want to bring up Amber and Priscilla and Laura, if she's still here, to the stage again. And we have another seat here, so I'll bring this one up. If there's a burning question, please answer it. And it has to be in the form of a question, not a statement. Or I'm gonna have to, greet you with some deep love. All right? We have one right here.
I'm hoping that you would give Caleb an opportunity to talk about the island of South Dallas.
I did. He didn't answer my question, but I'm gonna give him some chance to do that. But there's another question. We're gonna hold that one and give another one. Is there another one? Yes.
Hello, thank you for this enlightening panel, and thank you for bringing all this great information to us. I live in Little Casa View, and at one point it was designated as workforce housing, meaning that it was supposed to say, I think it was before COVID, that it was going to be affordable and limit regentrification in our neighborhood. And slowly it is creeping, and that is not the case anymore. I just wonder if any of you have any advocacy or any enlightenment on where workforce designated housing is in Dallas. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a good question. Any thoughts about workforce housing and enforcing that? And Byron, or I said Byron. Ryan may have some ideas about that too. Any thoughts on that one? You all have a mic up there? Okay. You want to answer that? Yeah, answer that one for us. Just a quick answer around workforce housing.
Sure. So workforce housing also means two things. I think it could mean, one, you're living close to where you work. And right now our zoning code is one of the most, what's called Euclidean. The U.S. Supreme Court case that defined and legalized zoning. It says you can only have one specific use in one specific parcel of land. What we're advocating for, what you can learn about on these retractable banners, is actually co-locating mixed uses together, not like industrial and residential, but your commercial, your retail, and your residential, live work environments, walkability. Those are things that our zoning code can re-stitch together, that our highways and the last zoning code we adopted in the 60s and 80s took away from Dallas. Now the second definition of workforce housing can also mean what's known as your middle income housing. You're working a job full-time, you're a two-parent household that's both holding down jobs, and you can't afford to either buy a home for a first-time home buyer, or you're spending more than 30% of your income on rent, and so you're not able to save up for a home. So that missing middle housing, as we call it, it's not necessarily a luxury multifamily apartment, it's not a large single-family home. It's a duplex, it's a quad that you can buy, or a condo or a townhome that you can rent, and then also live close to transit or live close to your job. So we're trying to bring more of that kind of housing, smaller multifamily apartment buildings back into Dallas that we used to have in many of our historic districts and conservation districts. You'll still see that, but our zoning code took a lot of that away in the 60s and later in the 1980s.
Thank you for that. Yes.
Right now, affordability is a big question all across the United States, but especially here in Dallas. So I really wanted to ask what the panel or anyone here has to say when we want to bring our family and friends into the conversation. Because here we're all cerebral, intellectuals, more than likely, but I want to have this conversation with my sister, my cousin, my neighbors. How do we bring them in to think more about zoning and how it affects affordability in our neighborhoods?
Yes, sir. I think about like the narrative. I bought a house about 4 years ago, and I very intentionally chose to move to South Oak Cliff. And that matters to me because I know how people talk about South Oak Cliff, right? And so I think our part is the day-to-day is the narrative change. I love my neighborhood. I got a neighbor named Mr. Willie that takes my trash out for me every day. Where can you find that, right? But I also want us within the city of Dallas to talk about Dallas as though it is valuable. There is still affordable housing in my neighborhood. But I also think that we have to check our biases about what we think place is. Frisco is nice, but so is South Oak Cliff, right? And so I also think those narratives around when we're talking to our family about even where we're going to go, because we can build our own blocks and community, but we have to also be willing to go to some of those places. And for me, that has been moving to South Oak Cliff and making that my home.
So I want to close out the panel by asking all of you all in one sentence, if Dallas had the courage to completely reimagine its housing and zoning systems over the next generation, what's one bold change you believe will have the greatest impact on creating a more equitable city? And I'm going to start with you. One sentence, Caleb. One bold change. This is your hot take. Hot take.
Yeah, it was like one sentence. It's hard.
Hot take.
It is, based on what Amber said, it is the courage of us to really build the community that we want to have and not let someone else build it for us.
We must change the industrial zoning adjacency to Black and brown neighborhoods. It has to change for health and for the equity of our city.
Continue to invite indigenous perspectives and shift from ownership to stewardship.
No man is an island. When we design cities to encourage hyper-independence and distance from one another, it is both ahistorical and completely unnatural to who we are as a species.
I say go home and look up the zoning around your neighborhood, right? And around another neighborhood, maybe the neighborhood that you grew up in, right? And make yourself aware. And 311 is your friend. I call it all the time. And talk to your city council.
Thank you, thank you. Y'all give them another round of applause. Thank you all so much. I want to invite, thank you all. I appreciate you coming back up. Thank you. I want to invite the organizers from Dallas Housing Coalition up. Veronica Alvarez, Evelyn Mayo, and Chase Tyler. Y'all give them a round of applause. Y'all got Mike?
Well, how's it going, everyone? Well, I think I got the chance to meet most of you over at the check-in table, but just in case we haven't, my name is Chase Tyler. I'm a community organizer with Dallas Housing Coalition. I'm joined with our two amazing others, Veronica Alvarez and Evelyn Mayo. We know that y'all just got a lot of great information, so we just wanted to come up and talk about kind of what's next and what are some next action steps that we can all take together.
Thank you, Chase. So as you've learned, the City of Dallas is updating its zoning code for the first time since the 1980s. And with that, we want to invite you to the launch of our Be My Neighbor campaign. We will start our first meeting next Wednesday, and this is an opportunity for all of us to gather as a community to advance pro-housing policies for the City of Dallas to create a more inclusive city. We need you, and we need your hard work and dedication so that together with us, we can create diverse housing for all. So we welcome you to come and meet with us next Wednesday. Date and time should be up here, as you can see. We'll meet from 6 to 8. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do hope to see you next Wednesday night, but please